Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. The fastest thing was definitely gossip. In the corner of the tea house, a man with a delicate face sat. After quietly listening to the shrewd man's story, he gently stuck out the tip of his tongue and licked his bright red lips. He then waved at the shrewd man. The shrewd man originally had his back to this person, but he felt that someone was calling him for no reason. He couldn't help but turn around and walk over. "You called me?" The shrewd man revealed a vigilant expression. Although the person in front of him had a fair and clean face, he looked very demonic. He was a man and even had red nails. The man covered his mouth and laughed. "That's right. Do you think that Yunshang is really that charming?" he said. "Is he as pretty as I am?" Cold sweat appeared on the shrewd man's forehead. Under the charming smile of the demonic man, he felt a cold chill enter his body. He immediately nodded and said, "There is no doubt that Yunshang is handsome, but you are also quite beautiful." "Really?" The man's eyes brightened and he smiled. "All right then. Since you're such a licker, I'll let you have it easy today." "Eh? Letting me off easy?" The smart man revealed a puzzled expression and a question appeared in his mind. He saw the demonic man wave his right hand and his vision blurred for a moment before he gradually lost consciousness. He sat there in a daze. The demonic man's eyes shot out a lustful light. He licked his lips and said softly, "You are enjoying countless men in the palace alone, but you sent me out to sell my life." "Humph, I didn't expect Yunshang to be such a beautiful man. If you knew, I'm afraid you would regret it so much that your chrysanthemum would turn green." The demonic man's eyes lit up and became sharp. He gritted his teeth and said, "Yunshang, you are my yuan soons." He threw down a few gold coins and left with the astute man. The waiter hurriedly went up to collect the gold coins, but he revealed a stunned expression. The yellow coins were undoubtedly gold, but they were not the common kind. There was a terrifying picture of the Grim Reaper drawn on them. In the headquarters of Team 8, in a cultivation room, a powerful force condensed in the air. Yunshang poured all her strength into her battle axe and struck at the man with all her might. The man stood there quietly. He had not moved since he had come in, and even Yunshang did not know when he had come in. He was wrapped in a black robe, holding a bloody man in his hand and stepping on a small green demon. The small demon's body kept moving, but it couldn't break free. The red light on the axe revealed the man's face. It was Mr. Yu. His expression was very complicated, and his eyes were turbulent, but they gradually calmed down, turning into an ancient well, just like his state of mind. Yunshang felt that her whole body was shackled by a force. The 9-yang true qi kept rolling in her body, getting stronger and stronger. Even she felt that she could not control it, as if it was going to break out of her body and break through everything. Mr. Yu looked at the power that was flowing out of her body and sighed, "It really is 9-yang genuine qi. Will history repeat itself?" A hint of killing intent flashed through his eyes, and his expression became complicated again. Yunshang was anxious, not only because she was being controlled, but also because the force in her body was constantly condensing and stacking, to the point that she could not control it. Mr. Yu suppressed the killing intent in his eyes and said, "Use all your strength. Let me see how strong you are, woman of the Divine Cloud Palace." Under the suppression of the other party, Yunshang felt the genuine qi in her body surge, breaking through all her meridians and swelling up. A large amount of blood rushed into her brain, and she seemed to be gradually losing consciousness. At this moment, a powerful force that she had never felt before burst out of her body and gathered in her hands. It gradually gathered into a light as dazzling as the sun. She raised her battle axe, and the force that had been holding her back was easily broken, and she slashed down again. Moonfall crow frosty sky. Falling moon heavenly frost. Yunshang's eyes were bloodshot, and her aura changed. Under the overbearing power, even her battle axe seemed to be unable to withstand it, and it gradually collapsed. The entire cultivation room, which was made of diamond rock, began to crack. It broke open with a loud bang, and countless gravel flew out. Boom. Even though the battle axe was also shattered, the force didn't decrease at all. It hit Mr. Yu's body and emitted a strong light. After Yunshao returned to the west of the city, he was met with strange looks, as well as envious, jealous, and resentful expressions. Scratching his head, he turned to his men and asked in surprise, "Am I that handsome? Why are there so many people staring at me with envy and jealousy?" He shook his head in distress and sighed, "It's easy to make enemies if you're handsome." Bin Jia and the others snorted coldly and revealed looks of disdain. They raised their chins, carefully touched their hair, and tidied their clothes. Suddenly, a ray of red light shot up in front of them. It was the headquarters of the 8th team. The aura was so strong that it could be felt from thousands of miles away. Zhang Yang Qi. Yunshang? Yunxiao's heart skipped a beat. Is it Yunshang? That's the headquarters of Team 8, Ding Ling said in surprise. Did she break through? An unpleasant expression flashed across Bin Jia's face as he said solemnly, "That young lady? She's only a martial king. Judging from her aura just now, she's at least a martial grandmaster, right?" Yunshao also had a bad feeling in his heart. He turned into a beam of light and rushed out while shouting in a deep voice, "Run." Something might have happened. Bin Jia and the others did not dare to be careless either. That place worshipped alchemists who could not be offended. If something went wrong, the consequences would be unimaginable. More than 10 beams of light streaked across the sky, heading toward Team 8's base. In the headquarters of Team 8, a large number of people were immediately alarmed and rushed in the direction of the light. Mr. Yu's eyes were still rippling under the attack of the light. He didn't panic at all, and his face was calm. The power kept hitting his body, but it didn't hurt him at all. "Is this all you've got?" Mr. Yu's eyes were filled with mockery as he said, "Gu Qingqing's successor is only at this level?" His expression relaxed and he sighed, "It seems that I have been too cautious. Lord Li is right, there is no need for anything. However..." He took a step forward and a white jade bottle appeared in his hand with a flash of light. There were a few demon clan symbols carved on it and it was constantly flashing with golden light. After the blow, the genuine qi in Luo Yunshang's body quickly disappeared, and her eyes became clear again. She watched in horror as Mr. Yu walked up to her and grabbed her by the throat. He struggled and said, "You, what do you want to do?" The cap of the small bottle shot open, and a faint smell of blood seeped out. With a ferocious look on his face, Mr. Yu poured the red liquid in the small bottle into Yunshang's mouth and said coldly, "You're too weak. I just wanted to help you. As a 9-yang divine body, you should have died. However, it's no longer necessary. I want you to become stronger quickly, then I'll step on you and completely erase Shinshao Palace from this world. Wash away the shame of the monster race that has been around for thousands of years." No matter how much Yunshang resisted, the blood-red liquid poured into her mouth and flowed down her throat. The cold liquid was really blood. "Who are you? Stop." Many warriors suddenly appeared in the surroundings. They were all members of the newbie mercenary group. They quickly understood the situation and drew out their Xian artifacts to attack Mr. Yu. However, the strange thing was that when they were about 10 meters away, they were blocked by an invisible force. No matter how they attacked, they could not break through. Suddenly, an angry roar came from the sky, and a golden light shot down. The Divine Realm tablet turned into a mountain and fell down. "If you dare to hurt her, I swear I'll level the illusionary realm of stars and moon and 5-cloud mountain." Yunshao recognized Mr. Yu at a glance. When he saw that Yunshang was restrained, his anger soared to the sky. After throwing out the Divine Realm tablet, he immediately slashed down with his sword. The Star Moon Illusory Realm was the holy land of the Demon Clan. It was built by the remnants of the Demon Clan's forces and was covered by a huge illusory formation. It absolutely prohibited humans from entering. The 5-cloud mountain was the place where the demon race was trapped. No one had been able to break through it for thousands of years. Bin Jia, Zhou Xiang, and Ding Ling also made their moves, and more than 10 powerful forces attacked. Mr. Yu's pupils shrank. He was the first to see the Divine Realm tablet, and his eyes glowed. Boom. The Divine Realm tablet also encountered an obstacle about 10 meters away, but it fell down and broke the defense. Mr. Yu snorted and a force spread out from his body. The space around him twisted and spun. The attacks were reversed from 10 meters away and spun around him. The space around him was constantly changing. Except for the Divine Realm tablet, which was still firmly in the air, the rest of the power was slowly disappearing in the distortion. Humph, you want to devour my Divine Realm tablet with your spiritual power? You're courting death. Yunshang gave a furious roar and performed the Great Realm Divine technique in his hand. Golden tadpole-like characters fell from the sky and flew into the Divine Realm tablet. Immediately, a golden light circulated, and the power of the earth spread out, pressing down on Mr. Yu's spiritual domain. Mr. Yu's face changed, and he snorted. He threw away the empty bottle and threw out a punch with his right hand. The extremely overbearing power of the physical body shook the space and blasted toward the Divine Realm tablet. Bang! The moment the fist force touched the Divine Realm tablet, Mr. Yu's face changed. Although he knew that it was a supreme-grade profound-level weapon, Yunshang's strength was limited after all. His physical body was strong enough to send him flying with a single punch. Who knew that when he came into contact with it, he would feel an infinite weight, as if the weight of the earth, mountains, and rivers had been condensed, and the momentum was unstoppable. Mr. Yu's fist force crumbled under the infinite weight of the Divine Realm tablet. With a solemn face, he grabbed Yunshang and jumped away instantly. Boom. The Divine Realm tablet was directly pressed into the ground, smashing out countless gravel. A beam of light fell as Yunshang stepped onto the Divine Realm tablet. He performed an incantation gesture with both hands and kept patting the tablet. The golden light seemed to be fusing with him, and the fire cloud mark on his forehead flashed again. The fire territory opened, and with the power of the territory, the true phoenix flame manifested and burned toward Mr. Yu. Kid, you're a little stronger than last time. Mr. Yu's pupils contracted. He could feel how terrifying the true phoenix fire was. He had experienced it in the cave last time. It could even burn through pure power. His gaze darkened, and the taillight sword suddenly appeared in his hand. A white light cut through the air and slashed out. Boom. The phoenix true flame was directly cut in half by the sword chi, but the sword light's momentum did not decrease, and it seemed to split the space. Yunshang leaped into the air from the Divine Realm tablet, and the sword beam struck the tablet with a crisp sound. Yunshang leaped over to Mr. Yu in the air, then held the dynasty bell high with both hands and smashed it down. Against Mr. Yu, his only advantage was that he had more 9th-tier profound armaments than his opponent, so he had to make full use of it. However, Bin Jia and the others were completely unreliable. Although he was a peak 9 stars martial emperor, without the power of a domain and the use of the rules of heaven and earth, he couldn't resist Mr. Yu's spiritual attack at all. But even so, they still charged down one by one. The members of the newbie mercenary group could not just watch their companion fight a hard battle. Ripple scamper. Mr. Yu shouted and spread out his spiritual domain. The force within a 100-meter radius reached him instantly. Everyone felt the scenery in front of them change. Not only did their companions all disappear, but they were also no longer standing in the gentle song forest. Yunshang circulated the Great Expansion divine technique and struggled to resist the spiritual attack. As the #1 expert in mental attacks, he felt extremely aggrieved at this moment. He had always been the one to play with others, but now he was no longer the one to go with the wine. At that moment, everyone in the sky, except Yunshang, looked around in panic, as if they were lost in it. What? Mr. Yu's eyes were filled with surprise. Your spiritual power is very strong. You can actually block my ripple scampering. This Tao Wu, it doesn't seem possible, right? Yunshang felt the surrounding mental power constantly squeezing his body, trying to rush into his spiritual ocean. He had a feeling that he could not hold on any longer, and his head was splitting. When he heard the other party's words, he was burning with anger and scolded, "Don't try to act cool in front of me. I'll break your ripple scamper." He gritted his teeth, and the pain in his sea of consciousness seemed to have weakened a little. A crazed look flashed in his eyes, and he slammed his head against the dynasty bell. Dang! His head almost exploded from the impact, but the sound of the bell passed through his body and immediately washed away the power of the ripples. The sound of the bell spread in the air and all the martial artists woke up. Mr. Yu's eyes darkened as he stared at the dynasty bell. His expression kept changing. "This is also a 9th tier profound armament. It seems that your background is really not small. But your cultivation is limited, so even if you have more 9th tier profound armaments, what can you do?" "I don't know what I can do, but at least I'm going to take your life now." With blood all over his head, Yunshang held the dynasty bell high and smashed it down. Dang! The second bell rang again, and Yunshang coughed up a mouthful of blood as his body instantly withered. At this time, Bin Jia and the others also attacked one after another. At the same time, they also understood how terrifying their opponents were, so they all used their full strength. The terrifying power struck down along with the dynasty bell. The calmness on Mr. Yu's face finally disappeared, replaced by a serious look. The sound of the dynasty bell reverberated in the air, greatly affecting his ripple scampering. He could not trap so many martial royal realm experts at once. He was only a martial emperor. Although his body was extremely strong, he did not dare to fight against so many experts at the same time. He raised his tail-light sword and stabbed it into the ground. The tip of the sword sank into the ground, and a beam of light emanated from the sword. It bloomed like a flower and formed a defensive barrier that completely enveloped him and Yunshang. Boom! The dynasty bell was the first to strike the barrier, triggering a powerful spiritual pressure that spread in all directions. Immediately after, Bin Jia and the others' attacks also landed, and all kinds of light scattered at the same time, blinding everyone. Although he had blocked all the attacks, Mr. Yu had also used up a lot of yuan qi. It was very difficult for him to use a 9th tier profound level weapon, and his face was slightly pale. After being fed the blood, Yunshang seemed to have fallen into a coma. However, her body was getting hotter, and waves of 9 yang true qi were spontaneously rushing up from her body. "Looks like it's almost time." Mr. Yu threw Yunshang on the ground and said softly, "This is all I can do to help you. It'll depend on your own fortune to what extent you can reach. Divine body of 9 yang, I look forward to the moment you become powerful. Then, you'll become the stepping stone for the rise of our monster race." After saying that, he looked up at Yunshang in the air again, and a killing intent flashed in his eyes. He had a feeling that this person was even more dangerous to the demon race than the 9 yang divine body. However, on second thought, the killing intent disappeared. "Let's call it a day," Mr. Yu said, then turned into a beam of light and headed to the south of the city. Do you think my rookie mercenary group can come and go as we please?" Muwu's voice came from the air, and Mr. Yu's body froze in midair, as if he was trapped by some kind of force. Mr. Yu's face turned serious as he said, "A revered martial artist?" Although he was solemn, he did not panic at all. He slashed with the sword in his hand, and a ray of light immediately split the sky apart. The power that was holding him back disappeared. The spiritual power on his body also spread out, and the surrounding space twisted. No wonder he dared to be so arrogant. He really has some skills. Muwu's figure appeared in the air. He took a step forward and appeared in front of Mr. Yu in an instant. He punched. The twisted space and the surroundings shattered under this punch, turning into countless fragments that drifted away. Black holes appeared in the sky one after another. Mr. Yu's body was also shattered by the punch. However, his face was still as calm as water, without any fluctuations in emotion. What's going on?" Muwu was stunned, and then her expression changed drastically, filled with anger. The space in front of him shattered and was sucked into the black hole with Mr. Yu. However, when the figure was shattered, it actually turned into specks of light and dissipated. It turned out to be an illusion. Mr. Yu's real body was nowhere to be found. What? Even Captain Mu Wu was tricked? Bin Jia and the others were all shocked and dumbstruck. Yunshao sighed. What a powerful mental power. I'm afraid this man can break through to become a 9th-tier emperor alchemist in the future. I didn't even notice that it was an illusion. Ding Ling's face turned pale with horror. A 9th-tier alchemist was a supreme existence. Besides, since Yunshao had said so, it should be true. She stepped forward to help Yunshao up. Looking at the blood all over his head, and the many wounds on his head, she said worriedly, "Young Master Yun, are you all right?" Shaking his head, Yunshao descended from the sky and began to check Yunshang. In the distance, Mu Wu stood quietly in the air for a while, before suddenly turning into a streak of light and flying towards the south of the city with extreme speed, as if he was extremely unwilling to give up. Bin Jia and the others looked at each other, not knowing what to do. Yunshao reached out and grabbed Yunshang's arm, but an extremely overbearing force shook it away. When he opened his hand, it was charred black. What happened? Ding Ling asked in horror. Yunshao's face was also unprecedentedly serious as he said, "The thing that Mr. Yu gave her just now seemed to have activated her 9-yang divine body. Now, her entire body is like a dantian, with powerful qi jin circulating inside. If I'm not mistaken, this should be the real 9-yang genuine qi. It's really overbearing and powerful." Although Yunshang had been using the 9-yang true qi all this time, she was only using the 9-yang true technique to circulate her primordial qi. At this moment, what was surging in her body was the 9-yang true qi that had finally taken form after so many years of accumulation. "Sister Yunshang is only a martial king after all," Ding Ling said worriedly. "The power of this aura even makes my heart palpitate. Will Sister Yunshang be alright?" "I don't know," Yunshao shook his head. "I don't know. I have to take her to the Divine Realm tablet. If something happens here, I can't suppress it at all." Ding Ling understood what he meant. In the Divine Realm tablet, Yunshao was a god, and there was nothing he could not do. She picked up Yunshang and followed Yunshao into a secret chamber. After all, the secret of the Divine Realm tablet could not be known to everyone. After Yunshao and Yunshang entered the Divine Realm tablet, she stood guard outside the door. At the same time, he took out an extremely valuable golden communication jade token. After a moment of worry, he imprinted a trace of spiritual sense into it and crushed it in his hand. At the moment the jade token shattered, a pitch-black color seemed to appear and his spiritual sense was transmitted far away. After entering the Divine Realm tablet, Yunshao placed Yunshang at the bottom of Mount Inch, in the array where Meng Wu had been lying. He casually waved his hand and summoned Gu Yueshang and Situ Heng. He stared at the two of them coldly and said, "That Mr. Yu from the Skeleton Mercenaries, who is he?" Gu Yueshang and Situ Heng had been cultivating in the Divine Realm tablet for a long time, and their injuries had long recovered. When they saw Yunshao, whose head was covered in blood, they were both taken aback. Gu Yueshang's pupils contracted slightly as he said in surprise, "You met Mr. Yu? Could it be that he was the one who caused the injuries on your body?" "Impossible. This is impossible," he exclaimed in shock. "Since you've met him, unless you hide in this mysterious space, you won't be able to keep your life.